She screamed like someone set her hair on fire, except it was just pond water mud and pure shock. One second she's perched on a pink flamingo float with a mimosa, the next an Angus cow bumps her, and she's flailing in my cattle pond like it's a Vegas pool party gone wrong. And the wild part is, she still didn't realize I opened the gate on purpose. 2 days earlier, I'm doing my normal morning routine boots on coffee in hand checking fence lines. That's when I see it cars. Not one or two, I'm talking a whole parade of shiny SUVs and luxury sedans lined up by the old trail behind my barn. At first I think, okay, somebody's lost. Happens all the time, people see a gravel path and suddenly they think it's a shortcut. But then I hear music. Like upbeat brunchy, we rented a speaker from Target Music, coming from my pond. I follow the sound round the bend, and I stop so hard my heel digs a trench. My cattle pond, my actual livestock watering hole, looks like somebody copy-pasted a Pinterest rustic lakeside bridal vibe onto my land. There are giant inflatables bobbing around, a fake tiki bar on my dock, folding chairs lined up on the bank. And sitting there like she's the queen of the county fair is Karen, oversized sunglasses clipboard, that voice that can cut through steel. Now here's the thing. The new development across the road has a homeowners association, and Karen acts like she didn't just join it, she personally invented it. That homeowners association doesn't cover my property, not even close. But she smiles at me like we're old friends and goes, "Oh, hi. I was wondering when you'd show up." Then she hands me a laminated itinerary. Brunch, paddle boats, photo ops, a live harpist, and yoga on my hayfield. And she says it real casual too, like she's doing me a favor. "We'll be gone by sundown. You should be grateful for the exposure." I didn't yell, not because I'm calm, but because I could literally feel my brain buffering. I'm standing there thinking, did she seriously just book my pond like it's an Airbnb amenity? I smile tight polite, the kind of smile you use when you're counting to 10 in your head. Then I say, "Got it," and I walk away like I'm leaving, but I'm really just switching gears. Back at the barn, I pull my phone out and start documenting everything. Photos of the chairs, the signage, the inflatables, the dock, the whole event setup sitting on my land like it belongs there. Then I call a friend of mine who plans weddings for a living. I tell her what's happening and she laughs so hard I have to repeat myself twice. She goes, "Did they pull permits? Did they get written permission?" I'm like, "Nope." She goes quiet for a second, then says, "Okay, don't blow up yet. Let it play out. Keep recording. And when the timing's right, let nature handle it." So that's what I do. I watch them for a day and a half like I'm watching a bad reality show filming on my property without a contract. Portable toilets show up. Fairy lights go up in my trees. At one point, they try to drape fabric off my grain silo like it's a wedding backdrop, and I'm standing there thinking, you can't make this stuff up. They even try to block off part of the pasture with ribbon and plastic barriers, like my herd is going to read the vibe and respect the aesthetic. Yeah, sure. Sunday morning hits, and my place smells like perfume, hairspray, and entitlement. Karen starts giving a little speech about community and vision into a megaphone on my land. That's when I do it. No drama, no yelling, just me walking to the pasture gate and unlatching it real slow. Creak. Pause. Creak. The cows notice immediately. They don't sprint, they don't stampede. They just start walking downhill like they've got a calendar invite they intend to keep. The first one hits the water, sniffs an inflatable like it's suspicious and steps right in. Then another. And suddenly, the bridal brunch pool party turns into a livestock reunion. A guest shrieks because a cow nudges her drink. Another lady tries to save her beach bag, and a steer is like, "Ma'am, absolutely not." Karen spins around and starts shouting at me, full volume, full performance. "Control your animals." And I just look at her and go, they're on my land, using my pond, the way they've always used it. Then I add real calm, "You're trespassing." She actually calls 911, reports a cow attack like my herd is out here running a crime ring. A deputy shows up, takes one look at the inflatables, the folding chairs, the half-eaten buffet, and the cows standing belly-deep in the pond, and I swear he has to physically fight a smirk. Karen starts ranting about how the Homeowners Association has jurisdiction over anything that affects the neighborhood's look. The deputy asks, "Do you have paperwork?" She holds up her clipboard like it's the Constitution. except it's soaked, because surprise pond water is wet. He turns to me and asks if I want to press charges. I tell him no, because honestly, watching them pack up their fancy brunch while dripping pond scum off their designer sandals, that was payment enough. By the time they leave, the elegant event is a muddy evacuation. The harpist is gone, the yoga mats are ruined, somebody's crying about mascara, and my cows are just standing there completely unbothered. I think that's the end. Like surely she'd take the L and move on. Nope, Karen doesn't retreat. She reloads. 3 days later, I'm walking the fence line and I hear a faint buzz. I look up and there's a drone hovering over my pasture, dipping low over the pond like it's filming a nature documentary called Farm Guy Ruins Brunch. That afternoon, complaints start popping up. Noise pollution, ground vibrations, methane clouds. She's basically accusing my cows of being a biohazard with hooves. And then, because Karen loves paperwork when it's aimed at someone else, I get a letter requesting a property inspection. Official looking. Translation, she found a way to weaponize bureaucracy. This is the part where it stops being funny for a second, not because I'm scared, but because it's exhausting. I'm up at night doing the math. Not money math, time math. How many hours can a person lose fighting nonsense before it starts eating your actual life? I sit on the tailgate one evening, staring at that pond, listening to the frogs, and I feel that heavy kind of tired. The kind that makes you want to shut the whole world out and pretend you didn't see the problem. But then I look at the pasture and it hits me. This isn't just drama. This is someone trying to push me off land. My family's worked for years just because it doesn't match her curated neighborhood fantasy. So I call my cousin. He works in agricultural compliance, and I tell him everything. He shows up the next morning with a clipboard of his own, and suddenly I'm not playing defense with vibes, I'm playing offense with facts. When the inspector arrives, I hand over records, water tests, livestock logs, manure management, the whole boring but legal stack. The inspector walks around, nods, takes a couple photos, and I can tell he's annoyed he even had to drive out. Karen doesn't stop. She goes door to door in her development, pitching a cow-free zone like she's campaigning for governor of Beigeville. And that's when I realize if she wants this to be public, fine. Let's go public. I call a buddy I know from town who works local news. He owes me after I pulled his truck out of a ditch last winter, and he still hasn't shut up about it. I tell him, "Come film this." Next thing I know, there's a camera crew on my driveway, and I'm standing there in a work shirt explaining how my cattle pond got turned into a bridal brunch pool. The segment airs, and the internet does what the internet does. People roast the Homeowners Association, praise the cows, and Karen tries to claim it's misrepresented, but nobody buys it, because the footage is the footage, and a flamingo float doesn't exactly scream private community amenity. That attention gives me an idea. Not to get back at her, but to make it clear I'm not hiding in my own backyard. So I host a small community night. Nothing wild, just a sunset gathering food trucks, hay bales, kids meeting the calves from a safe distance. Simple, normal, the way a farm is supposed to feel. Karen shows up at the edge of the property like a cartoon villain, arms crossed, binoculars, looking for something to report. I ignore her, because she hates that more than any argument. Then she sends a certified letter from some legal firm threatening me for disturbance and traffic. I hand it straight to my cousin, and he forwards it to the right state office with a neat little summary of the harassment trail. After that, she gets quieter. And honestly, that's when I get more alert, because loud Karen is annoying. Quiet Karen is plotting. A few weeks later, a for sale sign pops up on the strip of land right along my fence line, and the listing apparently is bragging about waterfront views. I make one phone call, and my stomach tightens. Karen's been trying to buy that parcel so she can build a viewing platform facing my pond. A cute little workaround where she can host events near my water without stepping on my property. So I call the landowner myself. Turns out I've done business with him before, and when I explain what's going on, he laughs and says, "Absolutely not. If anybody's buying this, it's you." We close the deal fast. And just like that, her little platform dream dies before it's even sketched on a napkin. Karen takes it personally, of course she does. She starts showing up at the property line, filming writing notes, trying to catch my cows doing something. Illegal, I guess. Then I get the real surprise. A notice in my mailbox, there's a county hearing to review the zoning status of my pond. They're not calling it a cattle pond anymore. They're calling it a potential shared community water feature. That's when my patience hits the edge. Because messing with my weekend is one thing. Messing with my property rights is a whole different category. I hire a property rights lawyer. We pull the deed, the zoning maps, old aerial photos, neighbor statements, everything. The day of the hearing, Karen walks in dressed like she's attending a garden gala, hair-curled pin on her lapel, that smug little look like she already ordered the victory cake. She gives her presentation lots of words like serenity and aesthetic integrity, slides of cherry-picked pond scum, blurry shots of cows near water. Like that's somehow evidence of wrongdoing. Then it's my turn. No slideshow, no theatrics, just a binder on the table that lands with a thud you can feel in your teeth. I walk them through it. This pond was built for livestock. It's fully on my land. It's been treated as an agricultural water source for decades, and here's the documentation to prove every sentence. One board member flips through the pages and actually whistles under his breath. Then he looks straight at Karen and asks, "Do you have any documentation that this pond was ever public or shared?" Karen opens her mouth, and nothing comes out. Because she doesn't have proof, she has audacity. The vote is unanimous. My pond stays private agricultural property, no shared oversight, and they warn her to stop abusing the process or the consequences won't be a cute little letter. I walk out into the sunlight and I don't look back. Not because I'm proud, but because I'm done giving her the spotlight she's been chasing this whole time. A few weeks later, her house goes up for sale. No goodbye party, no closure scene, no neighborhood applause, just a listing and a quiet exit. And that's how it ends. Not with celebration, just with her finally running out of ways to pretend she owned something that was never hers. Lesson: entitlement hates paperwork, and it hates boundaries even more.